Hey guys, I'm Joshua Vidovic from Vidovic Arts, and today I'm bringing you another dice tower. That's right, we got this dice tower here to go along with the one that I made in the previous week, this one right here. So, as you can see, they are themed dice towers, this one going for the woodland realms, and this one being a dwarven themed one. Now, there are two models, if you're coming from Thingiverse right now. There's this one, and a taller one. Now the reason why I made this one was just pretty much to make a model that won't take as long to print, because I wanted to make this for a friend of mine in D&D. So we've got two different models, and this one took around about 15 hours, so 15 to 20 hours to print on the normal setting on Cura. So if you're wanting to print this yourself, you can probably print one of these up in about 15 hours, so get into it. Anyway, a big thanks to my Patreon supporters over on Patreon. Thank you so much. As always, I can't express my gratitude enough towards you guys. You are supporting me through a lot, and you're enabling me to be able to pay bills and pay rent and continue doing what I love doing right here for you guys. So thank you so much. If you want to support me, you can head over there and pledge a couple dollars per video or per month. It's completely up to you. You'll get a couple of exclusive models, and you'll be able to see things in advance and a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm working on over there. So let's get into how this was made, shall we? So I started this model over on Maya, and we basically tweaked it from a cylinder, a hollow cylinder, and yeah, I turned it into like a cube kind of shape, and you know, slowly worked from it from there. Now, I kind of learnt from the mistakes of the tree tower to make it like this, because last time I tried to actually hollow it out on ZBrush, and it caused a whole bunch of problems. I lost footage that I wanted to use for the video of the making, and it was just a headache. And I learned from that to just make the model hollow to begin with. Now, one of the big things with this was the mouth, which I've had to tweak quite a bit just because of the scaling of the model. The mouth here, which is supposed to be like kind of like a dwarf head with, you know, like the helmet and the eyes. You'll see it here. This is supposed to be the beard. But I originally designed it to be quite a narrow passageway, and I didn't really think too much of it at the time. But because it's a dice tower, it's going to be pretty big, so that narrow way has to be big enough to hold, to be able to fit D20s and all the kind of dice that you want to roll. And the average size of a D20 is the same as a 28mm base, which is pretty big. So yeah, I didn't expect to have to extend it to begin with. So yeah, it changed later on, but that's one of the things that you got to learn is scaling. When you're modeling these kind of things, you don't know it at first, but you kind of learn from screwing up many times over that scaling is really important, and you have to find something to reference everything from. And as you guys know, or some of you know, I use the basing system to measure what things are. Otherwise, I use it's just a standard human from my D&D sessions, where I basically scale it up to see how big it would be to other models. Now, one of the cool little patterns here is that little Viking knot that goes around the entire top of this model, and this is how I did it. It was, I think there's probably someone out there who could do a better job, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with the end results of how it looked. It's a bit of a headache just trying to get that knot to work. I pretty much just lined it up and did it by eye, but I'm sure there's probably an easier way to do this. I just did the best I could with the knowledge that I have. Yeah, I wanted to make this really fancy, but like also at the same time quite simple. So it's mostly just patterns, and yeah, there's nothing really fancy going on. It looks fancy, but it's not crazy fancy. It's just squares, and that knot is probably the most complicated bit on the entire model. So another thing that I had to make sure of was that it printed without supports. So I've kind of gone in at an angle with most of these straight edges so that the printer doesn't have to like struggle going a long distance with no support underneath it. If you print something with like a 45-degree angle, the printer seems to be okay with that. It does struggle if you do anything higher than that, but yeah, with all these models, I like to have things that are extending over the edge. They have to have a bit of a angle to them, otherwise it just won't print properly. So it's something that a lot of people don't really think about, but it's a priority one when you're dealing with these printers. Otherwise, I mean, you could just have something hanging over the edge without an issue. So that was one thing I didn't want to do, is have supports. So this model is completely supportless. You'll be able to print it really easily without any headaches, and well, I hope without any headaches. And it, 15 hours is really not a long time for a tower, because the original tower I made, which was that four-tiered one, so it had like a roof, a midsection, and another roof, I think. Yeah, no, it was 4-tiered, and that took around, I'm pretty sure, like 80 hours or something stupid like that. It's available over on Thingiverse if you want to check that one out for yourself. It's another one of my dice towers, so I've got 3 in total so far. I'm really loving making these. I really want to make more. I definitely will be making more. But at the moment, I'm kind of just going with what my party is playing as. So right now, this is for a dwarf, obviously. And I think I might go and make something for a pirate. Now, I've got like a halfling pirate in my party. And I think he might need some kind of ship dice tower. Not that kind of word. It kind of could be punned right there. Ship. He wants a ship dice tower. Yeah, he doesn't actually want any dice tower. I just want to make these for my party so they've got some cool things to roll in. Now these squares, like I said, is pretty much just a pattern system, so all I'm doing is duplicating and duplicating and duplicating and making it look like there's a lot going on, but in reality it's just a pattern that is, it's a very simple one as well. It's just not even, it's the same thing over and over and over again. When it came to the dice tower, what do you call that bit? The exit door. I kind of really didn't know what I was doing here. I went for just sort of like a little scoop for things to fall into. Once I printed this, I have had a bit of issues with things sticking on the inside, which can be fixed just by making sure that there's no like sticky paint, which is what the main problem was. But if it does stick in there, you can just push it down. I would recommend printing it at a larger scale. At the end, I'll tell you at this video. But yeah, it was a bit of an issue, but it works, which is all that matters in my books. Now this is another one of the most important parts of the tower. It's the catchment zone, so where the dice land, you see what numbers you got, and you pick them out and roll them again. Now, I think this is genuinely the most important part. I've screwed up 2 times now on this. I messed up with my wooden tree tower by having the catchment zone actually have a spot where the dice can just roll out right at the end. So yeah, if you look here, you can see it goes really low and a dice can easily fall out there, and it has a couple times. So I might just put a little bit of a shrub there or something. But yeah, I'm printing this. It's a bit of an issue, something I didn't really think of when I made it. Now, like I said, I have the settings at normal, which is pretty low standards for the 3D printer. But you can do this at a higher setting if you want to. I just wanted to do it fast and simple. Now when it came to the paint scheme, I decided to go for a gold, all over a gold. And this is because of that lilac paint scheme that I have from the ghosts from the previous video. I wanted to make something look really old and, just old and worn out. So I've used the gold all over, and I've painted with the lilac oxide to make it look like it's been oxided. And you see this in a lot of statues and stuff where, you know, it's usually like bronze or something like that, and it's been out in the market square for 100 years or whatever, and you see like these little blue, kind of looks like mold, but it's actually where the metal begins to kind of go a little bit bad, and yeah, it's just called oxidization, and this paint is insanely good for it. Now, I know you're seeing me paint the gold right now, but yeah, I'm talking about the oxide paint because I'm pretty sure you could just spray paint this gold if you really wanted to. I wanted to have a little bit of some black gaps and stuff to give it some depth. So I kind of did a little bit of dry brushing the main coat, but yeah, you could spray paint this if you wanted to. So there's the Nylak oxide, and this is where the model really came to life for me personally. I think it just added 100 years to it, and it's just awesome. Like the idea that you can make a model, and you don't need to paint this gold. You can paint this whatever you want. You could make it look however you want at all. You could paint it like so it looked like wood if you wanted to. But this is just, I think it's just one of the most amazing paints. I know I'm like really overselling and overhyping this thing, but I really love what this paint has brought to my table. Now, before I started painting the Nylak oxide, I decided to add a quick dry brush of a highlight for the gold, and I just added it to the top and a few bits here and there. And then I went straight back to the oxide. Now, the reason why I added the highlights was pretty much just so it didn't look like a standard gold all over. It can look a little bit boring if it's just, you know, one solid color. So adding highlights is definitely a must. I think one thing I'd like to have done is kind of add a red between the golden knot at the top and on the sides. Just a red in between it all, just so it gives it a little bit more depth. I might come back to it later on and paint it off camera. But for now it is just completely gold, and I'm very happy with it. So like I said, this Nylak oxide adds, literally it adds hundreds of years to the model. And this model, like the tree, doesn't necessarily have to be a dice tower. You could, in theory, use it for, well, a dwarven kind of construct. So this is it right here, and it is a very nice dice tower. Alright, so here's the dice tower. I was going to test it. I was going to be like, alright, so here, I'm going to test it with this dice, and I'll show you that it actually works. Now, this dice, very specifically, I made this dice myself, and it doesn't fit through the damn hole, as you can see. Like, it doesn't come through. It's in there, and it'll come out if I force it out, but because it's a goddamn my own custom dice, and I didn't base it on anything, it doesn't fit. Oh, I just printed up a bunch of these dice too, so that's a bit of a screw up. But like I said, I made this smaller than I should have, just to increase the speed so I could get it out there and give it to my friends. So if you're going to print this up, I would advise you print it at the scale that I have given you, because it won't be this scale. It'll take a little longer than 15 hours. It should be around 15 to 20 hours though in total. And yeah, you should be able to get one of these for yourself. So head over to Thingiverse and download this for yourself right now, because it's a really cool dice tower. And this dice will also be available over there. I might scale it down. I think I'll keep it the exact same as this dice right here. And maybe you can ruse your friends into using it and getting really sad because it doesn't roll down the tower. So that's that. Also, with this dice, I painted it the exact same scheme as this. So that is the Nylak oxide as the numbers in there. So easy peasy, you can do it yourself. And that's all we have for this video. As always, stay awesome, everyone. See you guys.